When you think about it, pirate treasure, royal crowns, there is just something about gems, right? They capture our imagination like literally nothing else. They're woven into our greatest stories, our deepest desires, our entire history. But have you ever really stopped to wonder why? All right, let's really get into that. Because on the surface, it seems like a simple question. But what is it about these glittering little pieces of the earth that has had such a powerful grip on us for, well, all of human history? I mean, just look at this thing. This is the Duchess of Windsor's famous flamingo brooch, made by Cartier. It's an absolute masterpiece. Diamonds, rubies, sapphires, emeralds. It's just breathtaking. And yet, at the end of the day, it's made from stones. Just minerals that were dug out of the ground. So how do we get from a simple rock to that? And why does it hit us on such a deep gut level? Well, author Aja Radin puts it perfectly. She says that when we're faced with this kind of beauty, this kind of value, something primal just kicks in. Our brains are literally overcome. This isn't just a case of, ooh, that's pretty. No, it's a real chemical and emotional reaction that can actually mess with our judgment. So what does that tell us? This obsession we have, it's not just cultural, it's biological. So to really get to the bottom of this, we need to go back. I mean, way back. Back to a time when seeing something shiny had nothing to do with wealth. It was all about survival.
Just try to put yourself in our ancestors' shoes for a second. Imagine you see a glint of light on the horizon, or the sparkle of ripples on a surface. That meant one thing: water, our most basic, fundamental need. Our brains literally evolved to seek out that glitter because glitter meant life. So when you think about it that way, is it really any wonder our instincts get a little confused when we see a diamond?
Okay, so we've established our brains are basically hardwired to love them. But what are they really? Let's dig into the science of where these incredible treasures are actually born. At their very core, most gems are minerals. And this definition is key. A mineral has to be natural, solid, and have two very specific fingerprints: a unique chemical recipe and a unique internal structure. You change either of those, and boom, you have a totally different mineral. And this is the journey pretty much every gem takes. They start out as raw minerals, kind of like this wolfenite on the left, embedded inside a rock. Then, over millions of years, they can get weathered out and collected in what we call placer deposits. Just think of the gravel in a stream bed. So we either mine them straight from the rock, or we find them after Mother Nature has already done some of the heavy lifting for us. So once a gem is out of the ground, how do we know what it is? How can you tell a ruby from, say, a red spinel? Well, that's where gemology comes in. Experts use a whole toolkit of physical properties to read a stone's secret identity. Now, let's clear up a really common mix-up: hardness versus toughness. They are not the same thing. Hardness is all about scratch resistance, but toughness is about resisting breaking or chipping. A diamond is the perfect example. It's the hardest natural material we know, but you can actually shatter one with a well-placed hit from a hammer. So it's incredibly hard, but it's also brittle. And this is how we measure that scratch resistance, the famous Mohs scale. Way down at number 1, you have talc, which is incredibly soft. Your fingernail is about a 2.5. Now for jewelry, the magic number is around 7, the hardness of quartz. Why? Because quartz is a main component of dust, and dust is everywhere. Anything softer than a 7 is going to get scratched up from just daily life. And then you get to the real heavyweights: topaz at 8, corundum, which is ruby and sapphire, at 9, and the undisputed champion, diamond, at a perfect 10. Another huge clue to a gem's identity is how it breaks. There's this fascinating property called cleavage, where a mineral will split along these perfectly flat surfaces. This happens because the bonds holding its atoms together are weaker in certain directions. It's kind of like finding the grain in a piece of wood. And here's a perfect example. Take a look at this aquamarine crystal. You see those amazingly flat, smooth surfaces? No one cut or polished those. That is the mineral naturally breaking right along its cleavage plane. It's a direct, visible expression of its internal atomic structure. But that internal structure does so much more than just determine how a gem breaks. It's the source of everything we find beautiful about it. Its shape, its color, its fire, it all starts there. So the secret to a crystal's beauty is this tiny, repeating, three-dimensional pattern of atoms called a unit cell. The best way to think of it is like a fundamental Lego brick.
The shape of that one brick and how it stacks over and over again determines the final shape of the crystal. And it turns out all crystals in nature fall into one of just 7 of these basic blueprints.
And different blueprints create different gems. Simple as that. The cubic system, which starts with a perfect cube as its building block, gives us diamonds. The trigonal system gives us sapphires and rubies. The hexagonal system, that gives us those stunning emeralds and aquamarines. The inner order creates the outer beauty.
And you can see the results right here. That beautiful 6-sided prism of the aquamarine, the pyramidal form of the sapphire, those are not accidents of nature. They are the large-scale expression of that tiny, perfectly ordered atomic blueprint inside. It's basically physics manifesting as beauty.
So we've looked at why we're drawn to them and what they are scientifically. But let's bring this all back together, because the connection between humans and stones is truly one of the oldest stories there is.
This quote really just says it all. From our very first tools to the pyramids to the jewels of kings and queens, our progress and our history are completely tied to stone.
Throughout time, we've poured meaning into them. They were sacred objects and the crowns for the first chieftains. For the great empires, they were symbols of absolute power and a connection to the gods. And even today, they're not just jewelry. They are vital parts of our technology, like the diamond semiconductors inside our electronics.
Which all leads to this powerful conclusion. We never really left the Stone Age, we just got a lot better at understanding, shaping, and valuing the stones all around us. Their story is a mirror of our own journey.
So the next time you see a gemstone, whether it's in a museum or on your own hand, just think about its incredible journey for a second. From the violent pressures deep within the earth to its perfect atomic structure, to that evolutionary echo in your own mind that makes you stop and stare. It's so much more than just a pretty object. So what story is written in your stone?
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.